Okay. Uh, so I'm being told that you need to be allowed to make your case, and if not, then the world will pay the highest price. Wow. That's what I'm getting from what I'm being told. I'm just sharing information. So it's a fraction of the cost to repair an entity rather than erase and replace, and it can't be replaced. Or if Judgment Day becomes a some kind of, it's talking about nuclear exchanges between countries, like the worst kind of global nightmare, where like there's a nuclear exchange of some kind of nuclear bombs going off. Vain men who are allowed to rule the world will be the cause of its destruction, because they are allowed. There's a lot of vain men that, because they're vain, meaning that's what God wanted them to be there to, because he didn't want the world to have purpose yet. So he put vain men in charge that had really no purpose other than they're strong and they can hold their position and say, we don't got a purpose, we'll stand right here, I'm in charge and you're not. Ultimately, be aware that Queen Elizabeth is no longer an entity which is leading the collective anymore. So things are changing since Queen Elizabeth died. Everything's changing. The whole world is changing in a huge way. Vain men will be put in positions of authority and a high ended position is a vain man's dream. So men are trying to seek power and go to the store and see the people who show up. They are always on a collective that is responsible for the world's reaction time in a spiritual sense. Vain men will be put in charge. Men that basically you would think, like that guy, man, like, well, we can't have this. Ultimately, it's stating that it's on after the Queen's death. There's a new entity that's coming in now. It's a masculinity. It's a singularity. And it's an imperative absolute past changing at this point, meaning what's the plans that are going to happen are already in motion, and there's the collectives react in spiritual time. Like you can go to the store and watch people see the people, and then the people show up, as a collective. The collective itself is a spiritual entity. So we're all in the collective or not. Be aware, vain men rule the world and will demand absolute respect and a cooperation is necessary so that these vain men don't feel threatened, that their positions are under a threat. Understand that when God puts a vain man in charge for a reason, he's not going to explain it to that vain man. Vanity is when no matter what you do, it won't matter, because like if you're being punished forever on a karmic wheel and you're being reborn and having to re-die over and over forever because you never learn, and you're on a collective that won't learn on purpose, so you don't even want to learn. In fact, you don't even know. You're just going to come back doing the same silly stuff that you did last time with the same silly purpose and the same silly collective that's eternal collective, a collective that exists forever as a rebellious collective. It never changes, and ultimately when the opportunity comes to change a collective because there's a man that can do it, well, how rare is it? A rare event occurs when a vain man comes to the realization of his own importance, and his vanity becomes his life purpose. The vanity, all the purposelessness there's nothing that counts. Everything's in vain. Meaning, until you get to the moment where you've done what you needed to do in one lifetime, you'll be born over and over for eternity, 1,000, 1,000,000 lifetimes. In fact, you'll never come off the. Understand, if you get the attempt, your vanity is not a threat. Meaning, not only will men that shouldn't be in charge be put there, but because they shouldn't be, that's why they'll be put there. God will place men that are vain men in charge, and he'll tell them, your vanity's not threatened. You have more of a purpose than you know, but now is the time that your vanity must be your purpose. To be vain with a purpose, meaning nothing can change forever unless I make one change. My vanity forever, that could never change. If it does change, suddenly it'll be why. So, let's see here. I'll continue.